Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Thrive Live. Hi, Jason.
Hello, Beth. Happy fall. It actually feels like fall here in
Oh,
Texas because it was
so loving the weather.
42 degrees this morning when I woke up.
I love the weather. I love it. I love it. So my husband stayed at my parents' house this week because he had a really early meeting yesterday. So he stayed at my parents' house because they live like 20 minutes from where the event was. And my mom called me last night. She's like, "Your husband's in so much trouble. He left the bedroom window open."
Oh, you like the cool air coming in. Yeah, that's
Because he's
nice.
Scottish, right? So as soon as his temps drop, all the windows in our house are open and they do not close until it is like freezing temperatures. So my parents are older and my dad just had shoulder surgery. My mom's had, a broken wrist. And so she's like, "You have no idea how hard it was for us to get that window closed."
Well, it was interesting because I sent my daughter outside. I'm like, when we were sitting at home, she's doing her homework. I'm like, go outside after the sun went down. She's
Right.
like, what? I'm like, go outside the backyard right now. She's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I go, feel the temperature. And she's like, oh my God. She goes, that's cool air.
Yeah.
And so being in Texas, cool air doesn't happen very often. So people get excited about that. And then I go out into the cool air, and you know what I realize? I
What?
don't like cool air that much. I like hot air. I like the heat.
What?
I know. So, but I'm rejoicing for all of those folks that do like cool air.
Yes, like us. And my kids are riding their bikes to school in the mornings whenever I'm
Aww,
able to drive them. And so my son goes, "Hey, Mom, do you have any gloves?" And I was like,
gloves. Oh
"Bro,
my,
it's only like 60."
jeez.
And I'm thinking to myself, this whole bike riding plan is not going to work
There
throughout this.
really are wimps in Texas. Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of being in Texas, imagine living in Texas, getting a job offer in, I don't know, let's say Colorado, selling up your home, getting your family ready, finding your new house, putting an offer on a new location because you have a new job, and they rescind the offer.
There's not a lot of things that really, really make me angry. I mean, there's a few of them that really make me angry, and we'll go through that list. But this one really makes me angry. I just think that this topic, which is hit trending the last 2 weeks, where there are companies that are actually rescinding job offers. And so the one that popped up to the top in terms of some of the most egregious examples of this was Meta, where they were offering people jobs in other countries, and the people quit because they had a written job offer from Meta, were told to move to another country. And then once they moved, they were told, sorry, we're actually not honoring our job offers because we're trying to cut costs.
Yeah.
I just find that reprehensible.
Yeah.
And I have managed talent acquisition globally for several large companies, none as big as Meta. I will say that because Meta's huge, 88,000 people. One of the things that we always talked about whenever we were going through a situation where we had to save money and manage the cost envelope was, we're not going to rescind job offers for people that we've extended a job offer to. There's many other ways that we could save money, and rescinding job offers isn't going to really save us that much money in the long run. And it's just morally wrong. It is just wrong where somebody now is unemployed, doesn't have a job because you took your job away after they quit. And I just, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible that that's happening.
So that beep was Ray popping in, but his camera's not up yet. So we're going to wait till we see him in the background and we'll pull him in. Yeah, I agree, Jason. We, as you know, we lived in the UK for a while through my husband's job or his previous job. And I can't even imagine. So, what it took for us, at least, get your house either rented out or sold, right? Get your kids, figure out if your school is going to transfer over for your children's education, figure out the location, probably do a trip over to make sure that you've chosen a neighborhood, chosen schools, all that kind of stuff. Apply for your spouse has to have a visa or your partner, whoever's going with you, has to have a visa, especially if they're going to work. When we went over, my husband's Scottish and my kids are half Scottish. They're all dual citizenships. And my husband had applied for the wrong visa for me. We had a different sort of situation. We'd requested the move because my father-in-law was ill and we were going to try to be with family. And so we didn't go over as actual expats. It was just sort of a job transfer, like a straight line transfer. So although we did, they did pay for the move and all that stuff, but he applied for the wrong type of visa. So when we went over, I wasn't allowed to volunteer even until my correct visa came through. I had to go over just on like a vacation visa for under 6 months and then come back. I can't even imagine, like, that was turmoil enough, but to go through that and then have them go, sorry, bro.
Well, look, I mean, going to another country, that's like next level. I mean, that is just being next level cruel in rescinding a job offer when you have somebody that takes a job in another country for you. But I don't care if it's going to another country. I mean, whether Meta has an office right next door to the company that you're working at now, and they rescind your job offer, you still don't have a job. Yeah. You in good faith got a offer letter, and then they say, no, we're not honoring it. So I posted about this on LinkedIn for anybody that saw it. I've had over 2,000 people look at my comments on this, and I had a number of people say how upset they were. I think the vast majority of everyone was really upset about it, as I was. And a couple of people made a really good point that this needs to be built into labor laws, that if you in good faith extend an offer to somebody, you cannot rescind it. To me, that should be something that's sacrosanct. And then imagine once things start to pick up and then Meta starts offering jobs to people again. I mean, I think that they're potentially damaged in the market. I would be really reticent to ever take a job with Meta, quit, and you would be like sitting on, glass waiting for your job to start. Say, oh my gosh, I hope they don't rescind my offer. So I think it's just bad for the brand of the corporation as well too. I mean, it just shows, I think, really low character in my mind.
Is that Ray trying to call in? I think his devices aren't working. He's in the background, but I don't see him, so I'm not adding him.
Yes, we'll send him a note. Send him a note saying you cannot see you. Your camera is not working. Let
Jason talk. I'm gonna send Ray a note.
Our coworker is trying to log in and join our call, but if your camera doesn't work, it sort of defeats the purpose of logging into a live video conversation.
Sent.
All right, we've let him know that.
Said. And then the other thing is, oftentimes, I guess this also reminds us that when we quit a job, we don't always want to go, yeah, well, stick it. I mean,
we don't want to spike the ball in our manager's face as we're leaving the door. Hey, bam, I'm out of here.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a term for it. It's called honorable closure. So you leave with respect and dignity and grace and elegance so that when you do leave, they'll say, hey, the door's always open if you want to come back. And if you happen to call a day later and say, hey, guess what? Is that door still open? Because I got a story to tell you. They might actually open the door for you. So, quiet quitting, I think no bueno, all that stuff. Just leave really gracefully so that if you do need to come back to that job, even if something like this terrible thing happens to you, which I hope it never does, you can come back.
Or if someone that knew that you quit ungracefully at your previous job moves on to another role in another company and you're being welcomed into that other company and they see you at the coffee station and they go, oh, I know that guy.
I heard about this person.
Yeah, you don't want to be that. Like I know you and I are Below Deck fans, right? So Below Deck was it Mediterranean? Was it Mediterranean? No,
Yeah.
Down Under, below deck
Yeah.
Down Under, when the chef mooned the captain on the way out the door. And the captain was like, dude, just be graceful. That's enough.
Yeah, that was a
Not
little
a good
tough.
plan.
That was a little tough to see. And then yeah, but it's I will, and I think I've said this before, we never did that at any company that I ever worked for. I mean, and that's something that we actually talked about.
Yeah.
We believed that that was such a wrong thing to do. We never wanted to do it, and that we had to honor job offers. And that was not something that we ever once considered.
And there's no recourse for the employee, the potential employee. There's no recourse. It's just like, thanks, I guess. I mean, what do they do? You can't sue because there's no labor law. You can't take them to court. You can't, I mean, what can you do? You can't say, I've spent all this money, changing over to your city, and now here we go.
Well, then, so when things like this happen, this is what then fuels behavior, or it's the law of unintended consequences. So if companies start to say, oh my gosh, I could potentially rescind some job offers and not have to let go of staff or do another cut somewhere. We don't even know that person. We don't owe them anything. Well, then what people are going to do logically is they're going to say, hey, look, I'm not quitting my job until I actually start at the new job. Like, I'm going to wait in my job. Then when my new job starts, then I'll go start that day. Then I'll quit to the other job. So people won't, do a 2-week notice. They're just going to start another job and then say, hey, I'm out of here. And it's hard to blame people for that if this is what employers are doing. So, everybody's going to play a game to protect themselves. So that's why it's just such an insidious and just awful thing to happen, that if you're considering doing it, really look at your expense envelope, because chances are, if you really do the analysis of how much you're going to save, you can find somewhere else to save it. Certainly.
And so many of our consumer dollars, I think, are driven these days. There's so many choices and so many different, manufacturers and companies who offer different types of products, that as consumers, oftentimes we make those choices. I have a friend who doesn't shop at Walmart because the way they perceive they treat their employees specifically. So, this could have other rippling effects on those corporations as word gets out that you don't want to be doing business with these people at all, period, and stop, whether you're an employee or a consumer.
Well, exactly. And I think your brand is such an important part of what you have as a corporation. Your brand is so important that you have as a person. But to do things that are damaging to your brand just don't make a lot of sense. And there is no company on the planet that I would recommend cutting job offers or rescinding job offers. Now, if you're in a free fall and you don't expect that you're going to remain a growing concern, or you're going towards insolvency or something like that, first of all, you shouldn't really be hiring. But, if it is a situation like that, then obviously that's a lot different. You don't want to bring people into a situation like that. But honestly, short of that, you need to honor your commitments.
And a lot of these at a particular company were interns, and getting those internships. I mean, it's not like, hey, it's, Tuesday in December, I'm going to go look for an internship. I mean, these are long-term searches, and they're hard to find. And to be promised an internship, as a student, and then, be told, sorry for your luck, you're like, the window's closed. You've lost your opportunity for that season.
Well, the other thing with the internships is that the intern program has a long memory. And so if you and the intern, the person that, is in the institution that manages the interns, is normally a tenured professor who's been there a long time. And, when things pick back up again, that person will say, oh, you don't want to go to that company because when things got tough, they canceled the interns and they canceled people's job offers. And, and then that goes from intern group to intern group, and people remember that. And that's another thing that damages your brand. And then, especially if you are cutting interns at, top school, and those interns hear about it, are like, well, we're not going to go there because we know what happens. And you saw all of a sudden you can't get, engineering students from MIT because you did something that alienated the, engineering interns at MIT, or you didn't honor your offer letters for students. And so that it has a long shelf life when you do something like this. It's just a really short-sighted approach. And I just wish companies would just stop doing it.
Yeah. I keep going back to what to do as the individual who gets a job offer, because forever and ever, it's always been, whoosh, I got my offer letter. I haven't started the job yet, but I've got my offer letter. I can relax a bit. What do we do?
Well, you know what I imagine? I imagine like you have the job offer. You come home, you tell your significant other, hey, I have a job offer. I'm going to blah, blah place, or I'm going to Meta. And then all of a sudden, a week later, you don't have the job anymore because they rescind it. And you go to your significant other and tell them, yeah, I don't have that job. Well, wait a minute. Didn't you qualify that job? Was it a real job? I mean, how did you not know this was going to happen? Like, did you quit your other job? Yeah. And you like have to play this defense of no, seriously, it was legit. Here was the offer letter. Did you do something wrong? You must have done something wrong for them to not honor your job offer. I mean, it's just, not only does it put somebody out of work, it stresses out, people in the family, it stresses out the spouse. I mean, it's just a downstream, ugly situation.
Well, I think also, can you envision potential employees accepting several job offers? I mean, isn't this what's kind of already happening as well, that folks are accepting job offers and then just ghosting ghosting the company that's given them the job offer? Isn't this sort of the backlash of that kind of thing as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was people doing that when there were jobs that were really plentiful, and they were accepting jobs and then saying, okay, I'm going to take this one because this is the best one out of the bunch, and I'm not going to show up to these other ones. But yeah, you could see that happening too in this situation, because people are going to say, okay, well, I'm not safe accepting this. I'm going to have, a couple on my hand before I do anything. So why would people stop doing that behavior? Like I said, law of unintended consequences is what happens.
Gosh, I just can't even imagine. My heart skips a beat thinking about oh, what if that had happened to us? Because my husband was in oil and gas, and there are lots of cyclical times, ups and downs, and oftentimes, unfortunately, a lot of folks switch jobs frequently in oil and gas because of all the changes and all the ways that that industry tends to go. So I can't even imagine thinking, all right, we're good. And all of a sudden we're not good.
Well, I mean, this happened to me twice. Now, each time it was, we're sending you a verbal offer. I won't tell you the name of the companies, but if I told you the name of the companies, you would be shocked because they were huge. But they said, okay, your verbal offer is coming. We're checking your references. Now, in your giddiness, you could say, oh my God, I'm going to quit. And I had a verbal offer and now I'm going to quit. I didn't do that, thankfully, because there was no written offer that was ever forthcoming for two very distinctly different and absurd reasons. But that aside, I can't even imagine had I quit because I had the written offer. You just feel like it's a no-win situation. I mean, it's like Catch-22. If you've ever read the book Catch-22, just like that. It's just so unfair.
So what can we do, or what can we how can we work toward getting this sort of this sense of doing the right thing back in companies? How do you guys as HR professionals especially those in the offices having these conversations. How do you do? I mean, how do you get to that point of doing the right thing again?
I think people should write a letter to their congressman or senator and say, look, this is something that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do something legislatively,
Yeah.
or send something to the National Labor Relations Board if it happens to you. I think
Mm-hmm.
if enough people start to talk about this and say, hey, this is something that's happening, it's not right, then I think there'll be some change related to it. But I think if not enough people stand up and mention it, then that practice will continue. And I don't think it should. So, although it sounds cliche, write your congressman, write your
Yeah. Yeah.
senator. It's what we need to do. Or, even, your state, representation where, the states potentially could pass some legislation that says, hey, you can't rescind a job offer if it's,
Mm-hmm.
under certain circumstances. That's what I would say to do.
And
And then talk about it.
there have been some laws passed recently, like the one about if you work 1 day in the month and you lose that role with the company, then you continue on health insurance for the end of the month, right?
Correct.
So it's not like labor's not changing in a legal sense. So it can be done. It's just getting the steam behind it to get it to go.
I would also say if it happens to you, go to Glassdoor and put it on there immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So if people start to see that that's happening on Glassdoor, and then companies start to see they're being called out by it on Glassdoor, they're going to go, ugh, nuts. People are seeing that we're doing this. I would immediately go to Glassdoor and put it on there, because companies don't want that negative press. They think they can do this and nothing's going to come of it. But get it out there. Let people know.
Yeah, absolutely. And Glassdoor, for as just like you said, for anybody who's out looking for a role, always check those companies at Glassdoor, see what other people think about them, see what the employees really think.
Hey, and if it happens to you, let us know. Come on the show. We want to talk about it. We want to understand what happened. How was it explained to you? Why did they do it? Did they do anything for you? Did they call your other employer and try to smooth it over? I mean, hey, we're Meta. They shouldn't, we shouldn't have done this, but take them back. I mean, I don't know. I mean, seriously. But yeah, come on the show and talk to us. We'd love to have you share with us how it worked.
Here's a gift basket.
Here's a gift basket.
Sorry, we ruined your immediate existence.
Here's a Meta t-shirt.
So I keep thinking, that reminds me.
Welcome to the metaverse. This is what it's like.
There's this promotion at a sporting event locally. It's an in-stand promotion. So they give a gift to a lucky fan during a game. And they do this every game.
The ring, the Astros, and you get the ring.
And no, not that. So
that one too, where you walk in and you get sometimes you either get the replica ring or you get a semi real one.
Hold on, where did my rings go? I had 3 of them up there. I think my husband has snagged them and put them in his office. He is such a.
Are those all the replica ones, or did you get the semi real one?
No, I don't have any semi-real ones, and if I did, they would not be out for a family member to. Yeah,
I have a replica one sitting up here as well, but I'm only interested in the semi-real one.
So back to this. So there's this whole like gift basket thing reminds me. So there's this promotion. So a lucky fan in the stands during a sporting event locally gets this basket of food goods. And I'm not going to say the name of the company because I like the company and I don't want to seem like, if I received it, I'd be ungrateful. But it's this gift basket with it's all canned food because that's what this company specializes in. And it's like the second inning or the second early in the game that they do this. And they get this gift basket that probably weighs like 15 pounds. And then, and in my brain, every time I see it on the screen, I'm like, thanks for the gift basket, but now I got to schlep around 15 pounds for the rest of the day.
I think I know who it is. And I know that CEO, and if he wants to give me that gift basket,
I'm in. I love that company. I'm not disparaging the company.
I know, yeah.
But just like, thanks for the big thing I need to carry around. Can I just get a coupon? And maybe they do actually give him a coupon and the baskets for show, but I don't know, the whole idea, like the meta thing, like, I wanted a job, but thanks for the,
No, it's
to the salt.
hey, hey, I got a job at Meta, but all I ended up with was this T-shirt. Yeah, that's what they should send you. Yeah.
And a koozie. In our house, koozies are the thing. My husband gets koozies everywhere he goes, he ends up with a koozie. I don't know what's happening with these koozies. They're like the Tribbles, like the Trouble with Tribbles.
Yeah.
Star Trek original.
Well, I talked about rings, but to get off on a tangent, if you have just last night, they gave out the Warriors championship ring. If you've not had a chance to see that thing yet,
is it awesome?
Go look it up. I've never seen a championship ring look like the Warriors. I don't know if I'm a fan of it, but it's really cool. But if you haven't seen it, take a look at it, as we're just talking about, sports teams rings.
All I did was put Warriors CHAMP and it popped up.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful. It's pretty massive. I mean, I could knock a fella out with that thing.
Yeah, that thing is like it's like a bowling ball. It's so
wow. Big. Yeah, it's in USA Today. Holy smokes.
Yeah, if you get a chance to look at it, if you're not interested in rescinding job offers, at least go look at the championship ring. It'll make your day.
It's so big. It looks like one of those rings that I always saw in shows growing up, and I thought they were normal, that people had a ring that they would open and like pour a secret powder.
Yeah,
right. It's that big that it would hold
the cyanide
secret. Yeah, a secret treasure in there. So funny. Well, Ray never joined us. I'm sure he's restarting his computer 335,000 times right now.
He's out, talking to people who've had rescinded job offers, I guess.
The phone started ringing off the hook.
Yeah, phones started ringing off the hook. Oh my God, I didn't realize there was that many of you. No, I hope there's not many of you. I'm joking, but it's not funny. And as I mentioned, it really makes me upset. And if you're one of those people that was impacted, call us, send us an email. We'd love to be able to try to help you out in any way possible, because it's just one that I think is not appropriate. And I felt bad for everyone. Yeah. And I hope they get a job really quickly. All right. So if you need to get a hold of me, Jason at thrivehrconsulting.com. Beth, if they need to get a hold of you, what is your
Beth at thrivehrconsulting.com. If you'd like to come on the show and, looking for jobs, we're always placing folks. So one of the services we offer to clients.
And when's the tag guy coming on?
I knew you were going to ask that. So I messaged him, and they're in the UK. So they've got something. He's got a full weekend's full of tag games to edit right now. So we will get him on. I promise you we'll get him on. But I want to do it after Astros playoffs because, my schedule is kind of crazy. So I want to have a hard day that we can do it.
Tell him that we'll send him a Meta t-shirt if he comes on.
Gosh, I'm not telling him that. But I will tell him he's getting a Thrive koozie.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
See everybody. All right. Bye.
Enjoy your week. Enjoy the cooler weather if you have it. And watch those job offers. Thanks,
Bye.
Jason.
Exactly.
Bye.